Italian Wine Podcast. Chin Chin with Italian wine people.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Italian Wine Podcast. My name is Monty Waldin, and today I'm talking to Norbert Reinisch of the Braida Winery in Piedmont. Welcome, Norbert.
Hello.
Tell me a little bit about the history of the Braida Winery.
Braida Winery started in 1961 when my father-in-law, Giacomo Bologna, started to select vineyards for Barbera, because he was really a big fan of Barbera in a time where Barbera was considered to be an easy drinking everyday wine without quality, actually. Just really quantity was the aim in that time.
So Barbera is a red wine variety?
It's a red grape variety, and actually it's the mostly planted indigenous grape variety from Piedmont, and is one of the mostly planted in Italy generally. After Sangiovese and Montepulciano, Barbera is the mostly planted grape variety in Italy.
So it's funny how Barbera is a lesser known grape in Piedmont than, say, Nebbiolo, which is planted much less.
In Piedmont, it's definitely better known than Nebbiolo, but of course, worldwide, the people, if they're thinking of Piemonte, they are thinking of Barolo Barbaresco. So in that case, of course, of the Nebbiolo grape variety. But more and more today, I see around the globe, actually, that people, especially drinking wine together with food, most of the people prefer, actually, Barbera, because it's a perfect food wine.
What makes it so special with food, then, Barbera?
I think it's the fruitiness of the wine, and especially it's the acidity, which maybe if you taste the wine in a tasting, especially you started tasting in early morning, the acidity may be a little bit too much just for tasting, but as soon as you start to have food with it, and only if you have a salami or something like this, the Barbera is the best.
In wine, we often talk about acidity. What we're just talking about there is sort of the freshness of the wine, right?
Yes, but like Sangiovese, Barbera has a huge acidity, and we can also consider this as a luck for us. But since we see the global warming coming up, the acidity actually helps that the wine remain fresh, even if you are very high in alcohol. So if you go up to 16 degrees of alcohol, you drink it like a spritz. It's easy to drink.
Okay, so let's just go through the Barbera wines that the Braida Winery makes, one by one. La Monella. La
Monella. This was actually really the first wine Giacomo produced back to the 60s. And La Monella is internationally maybe less known because it's a frizzante Barbera. Frizzante Barbera.
So lightly sparkling.
It's lightly sparkling. Actually, it was pétillance for many years, also on the label. Then the law changed and we had to write frizzante. This is actually the way people still today drink this style of wine as an aperitif before they go to lunch or dinner, or having it with this quite heavy Piedmontese food. So, it's...
So such as?
Like salami or prosciutto or gorgonzola, and especially if you go in the wine bars in Piedmont, you find lots of anchovies actually. And La Monella, it's a red wine. It's a red sparkling wine, works perfectly with anchovies.
And La Monella, what does that mean?
La Monella means the cheeky or the naughty girl. It was dedicated to my wife when she was a little girl. She was a naughty girl like our son. Today actually is his 10th birthday. He's a Monello. It's also his favorite wine, although he doesn't drink wine yet.
He will.
But he will for sure. And the cheeky or the naughty girl, a naughty wine, because it's still fizzy. And if you open the bottle, sometimes even some foam is coming out of the bottle, and on the palate it's beautiful Monella.
Okay, the next one, the Montebruna. That's a Barbera d'Asti. What's special about the Barbera called Montebruna?
Montebruna, this is actually the first project of the last generation. The idea of Giuseppe Bologna, my brother-in-law. He tried to make an expression of Barbera without using barrique.
So and no barrels.
No barrels. So he started to plant this vineyard in the late 90s, 10 years after Giacomo Bologna passed away, with the focus on the fruitiness and on the character of the wine. And Montebruna, which was the given name of the area already there, we were also using new techniques, so new rootstocks especially, and new combinations, cyan and rootstock, because also in these years the global warming started, and the problem of Barbera, if there's not enough water, we are not allowed to irrigate in Piedmont yet. We need to have rootstocks which are very resistant on drought.
Okay, so Montebruna means the brown hill, right?
It's a brown hill.
Dark hill.
It was a given name, so it was not the name given by us, but it's indeed, especially in summer when it's very dry, quite it's a light brown mountain because it's rich in clay. So it's 80% clay and the rest is sand and a little of calcareous marl.
Does that clay give a really quite full-bodied, heavy wine?
Indeed, especially we are between the Montferrat and the Lange area. So the River Tanaro divides these both geological areas, and we are in between. So we have really the influence a little bit of this Montferrat style, with lots of iron, manganese, magnesium, and so on. And then we have this fatty soil, which is perfect for Grignolino and Barbera.
Is the Montebrino a little bit spicy then?
Especially we see this in the last years, like 2011, 2015, in these hot vintages. You get white pepper spices, and in the blind tasting, you would really go to a Northern Rhone Syrah.
Next up is another Barbera d'Asti called Bricco della Bigotta.
Bricco della Bigotta was actually the second cru after Bricco dell'Uccellone. So Bricco della Bigotta is a very small vineyard in Rocchetta Tanaro, so in the village where the winery was founded and still is. The Bigotta, it's dedicated to the former owner of this vineyard, a lady working for the church and in the church, praying at least twice a day in the church, but being quite a nasty lady outside. Giacomo always said, "You are quite a bigot lady, Bigotta." And when he was able to buy this vineyard, finally, he said to the lady, "And you, bigot name, will give me the name for bigot lady. You will give me the name for this wine." Bricco,
so she knew about it, right?
She knew it. Actually, she asked actually also to get some money for the name.
Did you give her any?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Next one, Bricco dell'Uccellone. That's another Barbera d'Asti.
Yes, Bricco dell'Uccellone actually is maybe, you can say, the flagship wine internationally seen. This was the first barrel-aged Barbera. We are going back to 1985.
Wow, 1985.
85, so
Barbera.
more than 30 years. And this was also a period where Barbera was definitely known rather for scandals and low profile, low quality. And Giacomo was able to select a vineyard, which today have wines older than 55 years, and started after malolactic fermentation to age this wine in partly used, partly new French barrique.
I mean, at that time, Barbera would have been seen as really high yield, crank out as much wine as you possibly can, sell it as cheap as you can. Don't worry about quality. No way you're going to spend money aging it in barrel, right?
Absolutely.
This was totally against the norm.
All people, about of Angelo Gaia, he really said, leave it another month in the barrels, but the others said, you are really crazy. Because beside of the low yield, it was definitely the lowest yield in that time, the low yield, and then also the time of harvest. Usually people in Piedmont, they started to harvest in August because sugar level was already quite high, but the acidity of the Barbera in August is not really ripe enough, because acidity must ripe to a certain point. And so he started to harvest in October. Today we are back to September, but this is due to the global warming. But so he waited another 2 months, and so the sugar concentration and therefore the alcohol concentration was much higher. The wine was much more complex, and this wine actually can age for decades.
Which normally you would never say about a Barbera, right?
Absolutely. Today, yes. But let's say in that time, people wouldn't think about to age Barbera.
So he basically made a Grand Cru wine from a grape that was considered almost worthless.
Exactly. So he was a crazy guy and did crazy things, but with good success.
Okay, and finally, Aisuma, another Barbera d'Asti.
Aisuma, this is a beautiful Piedmontese expression meaning ci siamo. There we are. I've got it. It's a wine which is not produced every single year, because it needs another couple of days, sometimes weeks, for more ripening, more maturation. And so it's a kind of late harvest, which for natural reason cannot be produced every single year. But let's say make it 5 or 6 times out of a decade. We produce this late harvest Barbera, and this wine is aged in new barriques only for approximately 11-12 months. So this is really a super concentration, nearly jammy sometimes, of Barbera.
So what's the best food to pair with that particular wine?
This requires meat. So if you go in our restaurants in Piedmont, you have this beautiful fassona beef, and it's actually the perfect, or grilled, or as we do it in wintertime, braised for a long time.
Okay.
Brasato.
Norbert Reinisch, thanks very much for sharing your knowledge and love of all things Barbera from the Braida Winery in Piedmont. I hope you can show me around some of their single vineyards in the future, and we can talk a little bit more about that religious lady who had
Absolutely.
Slightly odd behaviour. Thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Follow us at Italian Wine Podcast on Facebook.